Welcome back students to the video lecture series. I am Adil Mansoori from Civil Engineering Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. Okay students, so up till now we have covered the different types of demands, factors affecting rate of demands, population forecasting, treatment trains. Then we discussed about different types of intake structures. We designed the canal intake, and moreover design of pumps, and also various types of joints and various types of pipes. Okay, now we know that after the water has been extracted from the sources, as it contains various types of impurities, it is mandatory to treat it before supplying to the consumers, right? So in today's video we will discuss about the next topic, that is the water treatment processes and treatment units. Okay, so which are the different processes that are present in a water treatment plant in order to remove various types of impurities. Okay, so let us begin. Let me ask you the first question, that what is the main source of water? Okay, so the answer is the main source of water is rainfall, and we know that it is the purest form of water. Okay, so you might have now a question, that since rainfall is the purest form of water, then why do we need to treat it, right? So when the precipitation occurs in the form of rain droplets, it passes through the atmosphere. Okay, so it may dissolve certain gases, traces of mineral matters and other substances, and thus it is possible that it may get contaminated while reaching the earth's surface. Okay, so therefore surface water is required to be properly treated before supplying to the consumers, and this treatment takes place at the water treatment plant. Okay, understood students? So main source of water is rainfall, and because it passes through the atmosphere, it dissolves various impurities, and when the water gets accumulated in the surface sources, and when we extract it, we need to treat it before supplying to the consumer. So let us move ahead. Now what happens to the water after precipitation? Okay, so now some portion of rainfall percolates into the ground, and it follows the action of filtration, and thus groundwater is free from suspended impurities and bacteriological impurities. Okay, it may be present sometimes also. Now the groundwater can be directly supplied without treatment, and only disinfection is done if the dissolved impurities are within the permissible limit. Now, the surface water source is the only adequate water source to supply the water to the large communities, as it is available in abundance as compared to the groundwater. Okay, as all the amount of groundwater cannot be extracted easily or economically. Okay, so I hope you have understood up till now. Let us move ahead. So the question is, are there impurities present in surface water? So yes, the surface water contains high to low amount of turbidity, that is varying from 500 to 90 NTU, which stands for nephelometric turbidity unit, and also high amount of bacteriological impurities with other impurities in varying seasons. Okay, so as we know that in monsoon season, when the runoff takes place from the catchment area, it takes with it lots of surface loads, right? So this impurities varies from season to season. Okay, it is therefore very essential that to satisfy the characteristics of wholesome water, surface water needs to be treated before it is supplied to the community. Okay students, and the amount and the type of treatment process will depend on the quality of raw water and the standards of water quality required after the treatment. Okay, so which treatment is needed depends on the test which has been done in the laboratory, and even after treatment, whether the impurities are in permissible limit or not, it is checked before the supply, then only water is supplied to the community. Okay, so let us move ahead, students. So let us now talk about the objectives of the water treatment. Okay, so the main aim of water treatment is to produce and maintain water that is hygienically safe, aesthetically attractive, and palatable in economical manner. Okay, so we all know that after extraction of water from the different sources, it may contain different types of impurities. Okay, and so after treatment the water should be hygienically safe, and it should be looking clear. Okay, crystal clear it should be, and it so that it is aesthetically attractive. Okay, and all these treatments should be done in economical manner. Okay, next is water treatment processes are basically meant for removal of impurities of raw water and bring the quality of water to the required standards. Okay, so let us now have a look at objectives of water treatment one by one. So the first one is to kill all the pathogenic germs which are harmful for the human health. Okay, so sometimes there are presence of pathogenic bacteria which are responsible for the waterborne diseases. Hence it is necessary to remove all the pathogenic organisms before supplying the water to the community. Next is to remove the unpleasant and objectionable taste and odors from the water. Okay, so we know that when we extract water from different sources, there are chances that there may be some decayed animals or decayed dead bodies of human beings present in the water, which will impart unpleasant and objectionable odors or taste, right? So it is necessary to remove these unpleasant and objectionable taste and odors from the water. Okay, next is to remove the dissolved gases and murkiness and color of the water. Okay, so we know that sometimes these sources are connected illegally by the industries, and as a result what happens is sometimes these industries dump their industrial wastewater into these sources, resulting into imparting the colors to the water. Okay, so we need to remove all these colors, murkiness and the dissolved gases. Okay, next is to make water fit for domestic, industrial and commercial purpose. So after treatment you should check whether the water is capable for using in the domestic or industrial or commercial uses or not. Okay, next is to eliminate the tuberculative and corrosive properties of water which affects the conduits and pipes. Okay, so we know that in the water there are chances of components of iron, presence of components of iron. These components of iron have the corrosive properties, and that may lead to corrosion of the conduits. So we should take care of the thing that all the corrosive properties and tuberculative properties should be removed while the water is transferred or it is supplied with the help of conduit. Okay, so these are the different objectives of the water treatment. Okay students, so let us now move towards the next topic, that is the water treatment processes. Okay, so in a water treatment plant there are various processes for removal of different types of impurities. So let us have a look at it one by one. So the first treatment process or treatment unit is known as the screening, then plain sedimentation, then sedimentation aided with coagulation, then filtration, then disinfection, aeration, softening and other miscellaneous treatments such as fluorination or desalination. Okay, so what are the functions of each of this? Okay, so floating matters like tree leaves or branches, pieces of papers, fishes or other lightweight materials are removed in screening process. Okay, next is plain sedimentation. So the suspended matters having higher specific gravity than the water and which are able to settle under the effect of gravitational force in still condition, right, and those metals are, or those matter are like pebbles or aggregates or coarse sand, etc., right? So these matters will settle down under the effect of gravitational force, right? So this process of removal of these matters is known as the plane sedimentation. Okay, next is sedimentation aided with coagulation. So fine suspended matters such as clay, silt, fine sand, etc., will get removed by addition of an external chemical which is known as coagulant. Okay, so what will happen is that due to addition of coagulant, all the particles will make flocks, and as a result those particles which were in suspension, they will group together, and because of the increase in weight they will settle down. So this process is known as sedimentation aided with coagulation. Okay, next is microorganisms and colloidal matters will be removed in filtration. Okay, then in case of aeration and other chemical treatment, we can remove dissolved gases, taste or odors. Okay, then in case of water softening, we will be able to remove hardness. Okay, so we know that sometimes when you add detergent to water, then it is unable to produce the froth. Okay, this is because of the hardness property of the water. Okay, so we need to remove the hardness, which is done with the help of water softening. There are various processes for removal of hardness. Okay, next is chlorination or disinfection, in which pathogenic organisms are removed. Okay, so the type or degree of treatment to be given to the raw water will depend upon the nature of water or the source of the water. Okay, if the surface source of water is available, all the above types of treatment processes should be employed, and if the source of water is like lake or impounding reservoirs, then water is free from suspended matters and it will require only filtration or disinfection, right? Groundwaters are usually clear, so only disinfection may be done, or sometimes even disinfection is also not required. Okay, sometimes they required softening and chemical treatment for removal of minerals. Okay, so this is the layout of the water treatment plant. Okay, so it will start from the raw water, right? Then this channel screens where all the floating particles will be removed, preliminary settling tank where all the suspended particles will removed under the effect of gravity, then still well, then aeration fountains in which dissolved gases will be removed, then chemical mixing in case of sedimentation with coagulation, we are adding chemicals, right? Then flocculation channel, in flocculation what will happen is there are paddles which will thoroughly mix the chemical and water, and it will result in the formation of flocks. Then it will go into the clarifier where the flocks will be removed and clear water will be then supplied to the filter house, right? There are various filters for removal of microorganisms. Then clear water sump where after the filtration water is stored, and above there is a pump house which is supplying the clear water to a particular area overhead reservoir, and then it is distributed to the community. So this is how the complete layout of the water treatment plant is. Okay, so let us now move towards the next topic, and that is the screens. Okay, so you can see on the screen there is a screen, so there is an open channel under the screen, and you can see here that the floating particles are trapped before going inside the water treatment plant. Okay, so screens are generally provided in front of the either pumps or intake works, so to exclude the floating and large size impurities such as leaves, branches of trees, aquatic vegetations, fish, ice, etc. So pour screens, which are also known as the trash racks, are also sometimes placed in front of the fine screens. Pour screens consist of parallel iron rods placed vertically or at slope at about 2 to 10 centimeters center to center. The fine screens are made up of wires or perforated metals with opening less than 1 centimeter wide. Okay, and the core screens first removes the bigger floating particles, and the fine screen removes the fine suspended solids. Okay, so there are total two types of screens, that is core screens and the fine screens. Clear, students? Now, the fine screens normally gets clogged and hence required to be cleaned frequently. Okay, the fine screens are therefore avoided and the fine particles are separated in the sedimentation. Okay, so the fine screens normally gets clogged and hence it needs to be cleaned frequently, and the fine screens are therefore avoided and all the fine suspended particles are removed in the sedimentation. Okay, now the core screens are normally kept at an inclination of 45 to 60 degree with the horizontal, and so that this will increase the opening area and reduce the flow velocity, right? So this will make the screens more effective. Okay, so here in the picture you can see that the screen is at an angle, right? So it is at, usually the screens are placed at an angle of 45 to 60 degree with the horizontal. Okay, students? Now, while designing the screens, clear openings should have sufficient total area so that the velocity through them is not less than 0.8 to 1 meter per second, right? So the flow velocity of the screens should be kept minimum 0.8 to 1 meter per second, and the material which is collected on the upstream side of the screen is either manually or mechanically removed. Okay, students? So this was about the screens. Clear? Okay, students. So let us now have a look at the new topic, that is the plane sedimentation. Okay, so sedimentation is the removal of the suspended particles by gravitational settling. Okay, by definition, sedimentation is a solid liquid separation using gravity settling to remove suspended solids. Okay, most of the suspended solid present in water possess specific gravity greater than that of the water, that is 1. Okay, now these particles are held in suspension due to turbulence in the water. When this turbulence is retarded by offering the storage of water, right, then the suspended matter tends to settle down at the bottom of the tank, and this is the principle behind sedimentation. Understood, students? Now the basin in which the flow of water is retarded is called the settling tank or sedimentation tank or clarifier, and theoretical average time for which the water is stored in these tanks is known as the detention time or detention period. Okay, now sedimentation tanks are designed to reduce the velocity of flow of water so as to permit settlement of the suspended solids by gravity. Okay, so we will be looking at the various types of sedimentation tanks in the upcoming slides. Okay, so the main function of the sedimentation tank is to reduce the velocity of the flow so that all the heavier particles will settle down at the bottom. Okay, and main application of the plane sedimentation is to remove heavy settleable solids from turbid source to lessen the solid load on the treatment plant processes. Okay, so once the sediments are removed from the water, then the load on the successive treatment units will be reduced. As a result, the efficiency of the successive treatment units will increase. Okay, so once again let us have a look at the definition. When the impurities are separated from the suspended fluid by action of natural forces alone, that is by gravitation and natural aggregation of settling particles, then the operation is known as plane sedimentation. Understood, students? So this is the theory of plane sedimentation. Let us now move ahead. Let us now have a look at the topic sedimentation with coagulation. Okay, so when chemicals or other substances are added to induce or hasten or to increase the speed of aggregation and settling of finely divided suspended particles and colloidal substances, then the operation is known as sedimentation with coagulation or simply clarification. Okay, so once again, when all the suspended particles which are not settling in the plane sedimentation, then these suspended particles will remain in continuous motion, right? So in order to remove those suspended particles, we need to add a certain chemical or other substances in order to gather those particles, to increase their weight and to make them settle at the bottom of the sedimentation tank. So this phenomena is known as sedimentation with coagulation. Okay, so one of the most famous coagulant is the alum. Okay students, let us now have a look at the next topic, that is the factors influencing plane sedimentation process. Okay, so there are various factors on which the plane sedimentation process depends. For example, size, shape and weight of the particle. If the particle will be more in size and it will have more weight, then the particle is going to settle at more faster rate compared to the particles of smaller size and lesser weight. Okay, next is viscosity and the temperature of the water, right? Third one is the surface overflow, then is the velocity of the flow. If the velocity of flow will be more, right, then it will get less time for the settlement, hence the particles will not settle easily. Okay, next is inlet and outlet arrangement, then detention period. If the detention period is more, then the efficiency of sedimentation will be more. Okay, next is effective depth of basin. Okay, and last is the surface area. So these are the factors which influence the plane sedimentation process. Okay students, so let us now have a look at the next topic, that is the advantages of plane sedimentation process. Okay, so it lightens the load on the subsequent process. Okay, so for example, if you don't carry out the sedimentation process, then what will happen is, in the filtration process the filters will get jammed. Okay, so as a result the efficiency of filters will reduce, right? So if you do the sedimentation process, then the load on the subsequent units will be lessened. Okay, then the operation of the subsequent process can be controlled in a better way, because plane sedimentation delivers less variable quality of water. Okay, next is less quantity of chemicals are required in the subsequent treatment process. Okay, so if the plane sedimentation process is done properly, then the less chemicals will be required for the subsequent units. The cost of cleaning the chemical coagulation basin is reduced, right? Because majority of these suspended particles are removed in the plane sedimentation. Next, no chemical is lost with sludge discharge from the plane settling basin. Okay, so let us now have a look at some of the important terms, and the first term is the coalesce, right? So the meaning of the coalesce is to come together, right? So when you add chemical like coagulant into the water, what will happen is, those particles which are heavier will settle down, but which are not able to settle down and which are moving constantly, what will happen is, due to the addition of coagulant, those particles will come together, and this phenomena is known as coalesce. Okay, next is flocculants or the flocks. So when you add chemical to the water, those particles which have come together will settle down at the bottom of the tank, and these particles will have soft wool like texture, right? And those particles are known as the flocks. Okay, next is suspension. So the meaning of suspension is that the particle will neither settle nor it will float in the sedimentation tank. However, it will remain in continuous motion. Okay. Next is the discrete particle. So a particle which does not alter its shape, size and weight while settling or rising in the water is known as the discrete particle. Okay, so these are the few terms that you should keep in mind for the upcoming theories. Okay, so let us now move towards the types of settling. Okay, so basically there are four types of settling: type 1 settling, type 2 settling, type 3 settling and type 4 settling. Okay, type 1 and type 2 refers to the water supply engineering, and type 3 and type 4 settling refers to the wastewater engineering. Okay, so let us have a look at it one by one. So the first type of settling, that is the type 1 settling, it is also known as discrete settling. Okay, so discrete settling corresponds to the sedimentation of the discrete particles which are in suspension and in low concentration. Okay, so this is also known as free settling, since these particles have little tendency to flocculate or coalesce upon contact with each other. Okay, so these particles settle without hindrance to other particles. For example, fine sand in the glass of water. When you put some sand in glass of water, then they will show type 1 settling. Okay. Type 1 settling obeys Stokes' law. Okay. Let us now have a look at the second type of settling, that is type 2 settling, which is also known as the hindered settling. Okay, so hindered settling refers to rather dilute suspension of particles that coalesce or flocculate during sedimentation process. Due to the flocculation, particle increases in mass and settle at the faster rate. This means that less particles in suspension and they will hinder other particles while settling and thus increasing their mass. So in hindered settling, the particles are in dilute concentration and they have less tendency to flocculate. But when they settle, they increase in mass and settle at the faster rate. Okay. Let us now have a look at the third type of settling, that is known as the zone settling. Okay, so these process mostly occur after addition of the coagulants. So the zone settling refers to the flocculant suspension of intermediate concentration, and interparticle forces hold the particles together and mass of the particles subside as the whole mass. Okay, so these flocculants are in suspension and they are in medium concentration. Okay, and these particles are held together by a force known as the interparticle force. This will result in formation of mass and this will lead to increase in their weight, thus they will settle down. Okay, so let us now have a look at the fourth type of settling, which is known as the compression settling. So compression settling refers to flocculation suspension of so much high concentration that particles actually come in contact with each other, and this will result in the formation of a new structure. Okay, so further settling can occur only by the compression of these structures brought about due to weight of the particles which are constantly being added to the structure. Okay, so in water treatment plant only one and two type of settling are encountered, right? So once again, in compression settling, what will happen is that flocculants are in high concentration, and due to the chemical bonds formed between the particles, they will be forming a new structure at the bottom of the tank. So this is all about the types of settling. Okay, so you can have a look at this. So when you add alum into the impurities, you can see the second picture: coagulants form precipitate, thus they will be forming the structure which will be settling at the bottom of the tank, right? So this, in the third picture you can see that in the third jar you can see that the particles are settled down, making a new structure, and these small particles are known as the flocks. Okay, so that's all about today's video. We will be discussing the new topics in the next video.